What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Straight No Chaser Cowboys podcast, baby. We're in week 15. Before we get into the content, y'all, let's do some house cleaning. You need y'all to hit that like button. Subscribe if you guys are new for the best cowboy content on this side of the Mississippi. Well, I'm on a different side of Mississippi, but that shit ain't important. But gentlemen, how we feeling?
Good. I think we're both west of the Mississippi, sir.
Oh, we on the same side of Mississippi.
I believe so. Don't quote me on that.
No. As I got to thinking, I was like, yeah, we are on the same side of Mississippi, actually. Just a lot more.
How you feeling, man?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, feeling pretty good, man. Despite the cold snap that hit Dallas last night, man, it is colder than the well diggers draws in Alaska. You hear me? It's bad. It's right now the wind chill is about 26, 27 degrees.
Yeah, it's pretty cold out here in Cali too. It's a strong mist outside. I live by the mountains, so it's a strong mist outside. It's a cold mist. It's a damn mist.
Oh, it's misting. It's misting in LA. You know what that means? You know what that means on all of the news shows? Storm Watch 2025.
Hey, now, while you tripping, we had it about a month ago. It was raining like for a week straight. You know, I'm in hog heaven, so I love rain. That shit do not rain out here like that. So, so flew to the elements. Been a little downtrodden, but this is perfect football weather. You guys know what I'm talking about.
And shout out real quick, Cliff.
Yeah,
shout out, man, to the hell of an effort. I see the PVAMU cap on.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, man, that was a tough one. Look, you know who I was rooting for. You know those familiar ties, man. So sat there and watched it with my
School
parents.
That made you.
Yeah. Cast that made us, man. And we watched it with the familial unit, and man, that was tough. But man, what a hell of a run for the PV Panthers. It's tough to see it end like that on such a highly controversial call. Yeah. I didn't think it was that controversial, but nonetheless, shout out to the PV Panthers, shout out to PV Nation, man, because on one hell of a 2025.
Yeah, and
see, swag, baby.
Yeah, and I'm a capstone for the listeners who don't know exactly the parameters. So my school, Prairie View A&M, which been pretty good like in the last few years, but been historically bad in the 90s. We like have a record for like 80 straight losses. So and now we actually have a pretty damn good football team, and we lost in the Celebration Bowl yesterday against South Carolina State. And with our first year coach Tremaine Jackson, and we were up 21-0 at half, and we just choked it 38-36. Tough loss, but listen, man, for a first year coach coming in and
the season,
bringing our program back to prominence. We won our conference of SWAC first time since 2009. So, and we actually got we almost got the dub yesterday. So, shout out to my Panthers nonetheless. Y'all fought hard. It's just wasn't enough. Just wasn't enough. But all right, so getting to the reason why we all were here. We all are gathered for this day. Let's go ahead and talk about these doggone Dallas football Cowboys, man. So today we got the Minnesota Vikings. And so the topic for today is no room for error. So as we know, if we still have playoff aspirations, then we can't lose it. We can't drop any more games. So this is going to be a not so big, but big one. And we'll get into that in a second, y'all. So I know we had a post-game show, but for the new audience who's just watching this show, we're going to do a little brief recap. And matter of fact, JC, I'm going to kick it to you first, man. Just you don't have to go point by point from the Lions loss, but since we lost where we are now, let's just talk about some of the takeaways of where you see where we are and, from that Lions loss.
Well, just a lot of, as, we had touched on a lot of contributing factors to that loss. It's, it almost, brings to mind, how you started the show with the premise of, really no room for error. And it was an error-filled game on offense in terms of the turnovers and the sacks allowed. They still, despite the 2-touchdown deficit or margin in the end, they still hung in pretty good. Again, I know if ifs and buts were bearing nuts over what a party we would have, that kind of shit. But they had some issues with the kick coverage, okay, seemingly a recurring issue. Hopefully they're going to get that fixed. Just the pressure and the turnovers, So that really kind of told the tale of the game. The offense kind of hung in a little bit, and the defense wasn't terrible against the run. But when you lose by a couple of scores, man, there's really not a whole lot else that you can say. Not a good performance. Not really anything good to take from it. Just got to literally, as we say here, hit that reset button, okay, and go in and deal with a totally different set of circumstances with the Minnesota Vikings tonight on Sunday Night Football.
Well stated. Well stated. D. Brown, what you got for us, man?
Man, I agree with a lot with what Joey just said in terms of, the game within the game. When you look up at, a lot of the self-inflicted mistakes that the Cowboys had, and, there was a point in that game, the final score notwithstanding, that you looked at that deal, and with all the malady and all the things that, again, they had done to themselves, they had gotten into a 30-27 game, with several minutes to go. Game was winnable. Didn't do the things necessary to win the game. And, of course, you had, missteps, like Joey said, which has really been a recurring theme amongst some other things that Dallas needs to correct, not only tonight, but, certainly addressing the offseason. Special teams coverage, kick coverage in particular. We've not really talked about that a lot over the years. And you talking about the no room for error. Well, there was no room for error within that game, and there were a lot of errors made. And I'm sure that's going to carry over into what we're going to talk about for tonight's game. So, hopefully they don't dig themselves the hole that they dug against the Lions. Again, you don't really or didn't really have the room to do that. However, we got a little bit of help from our adversaries up east, and so there's still a conversation to be had, albeit a very tight one and a very unlikely one, but it's still a conversation to be had about these playoffs. So we'll see what translates from the carryover. Hopefully they can learn in the film room, had a good week of practice, and we'll see what goes down tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I guess our capstone is saying just, timely plays is something that just was not up our alley, man. I just remember clutch catch after clutch catch from Amon-Ra St. Brown. And you just can't have that, man. Dak Prescott, 2 interceptions, too many. It gives just, didn't have a gaudy run day, but just timely runs that led to scores. We just can't have that. Now, if it's something to glean off that, they only ran for like 100 yards, so that's a good thing because we know, boys can rip off 200 on us like it ain't nothing. We go on 2 months and beyond, right? So that's still a net positive to look forward to. Now, I know we've left moral victory land, and it's kind of like we're in matter-of-fact land now. But if we're just going to call it straight and call where our defense is, you take 4 touchdowns is a hell of a thing to take away from the run game. Yeah. But the cumulative yard total, that is something to glean going forward. I have to say that. You know what I mean? If we're going to look at the positives going forward, because, at the end of the day, I don't give a shit what you say about that O-line. The Detroit Lions are a talented goddamn offensive football team. That's just fact.
Absolutely.
Weapons on top of weapons on top of weapons. So, and we know on the road, we are trash garbage. We are BFI certified. 2-5 on the road, in fact. So, that's just kind of playing into what we've been characteristically
what they've been
alone.
Right. Can't
win shit on the road. So, ultimately, I think that may have been a lesson. Like you said, we got some help from up north because I think Philly and the Chiefs are just floundering, man. I don't know what pixie dust got sprinkled them, last February Super Bowl. But both of them is just, I don't know what the hell happened to what's going on with their cohesion and their, I'm hearing both. Well, I don't hear the Chiefs fan base saying this, but I'm hearing the Philly fan base want to get rid of coach already. I'm like, y'all just won last year. What the hell y'all talking about?
It's 2023 all over again.
Absolutely. So, but this reminds me of a word I learned from, and shout out and rest in peace to the great Jimmy Clardy. He was a coach out at Dallas. He coached Andre Emmett at Carter. He coached at Dallas Carter. He coached me at Mountain View College in JUCO. It called dissension. He called it dissension. Like when you have too many negative things starting to affect the whole sum of things, you have dissension. It seems like now maybe not the Chiefs so much. Chiefs may be just having older parts that need to be tuned up and fixed up, schemed up properly. But on Philly, I'm seeing that D word creep all in there because when your boy Jalen Hurts with them 4 turnovers, I'm starting to see those A.J. Brown rumblings a little louder, and the fans are starting to reflect it too. So that's more or less what I'm seeing over there. And it couldn't come at a better time, baby.
I have no doubt. You know, I wish them nothing but just glorious dissension throughout. And we're just gonna go with it like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you can
hey,
just
it is
see
what it is, man. So again, no room for error, guys. So as we go forward, we're gonna talk about what the Cowboys have to do to get themselves in prime position. And shout out to D Brown too, man. Your short is done very well, sir.
Oh wow.
Your short that you put out yesterday.
Yeah. Shout out to those that tuned in, and it's good to see that little bit of the straight no chaser, starting traction. So that was cool.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Zen for chopping that up like only Zen can do. All right, so I think we set the preamble of what we're trying to do. And I like Between the Game Sports Comedy said Philly got away with the identity. They started listening to the outside noise, folks them to win pretty instead of just winning. There you go.
There it is.
There you go. Hey, you start to smell yourself a little bit, man. And the peanut gallery just puts a little more oil on the flames. And before you know it, you got your 5-alarm blaze.
Yes,
couldn't have it at a better time, though.
Absolutely.
All right. So moving the show forward, baby, we gonna do the Lucky Whitehead Award. So without further ado, cue it up. All right, gentlemen. JC, I kick it to you first. Who is your Lucky Whitehead Award winner, sir?
Oh man, really, if anybody deserved it, right, it was probably that Detroit Lions kick return team, right? I mean, it was really kind of a weird game in terms of, Dallas kind of got on their heels early, and so the game really didn't have flow for them, and they were kind of just dead ass out there passing. I'm gonna give it to Spawn Ford for mushing homeboy in the back of the head on the kickoff. That's what I'm talking about. A little bit of attitude, right? Those bastards up there in Detroit took our lunch money last year. I was very pleased to see Spawn Ford punch homeboy in the back of the dome. That's what I'm talking about. He's 6'7", 275, so what are you going to do about it? Nothing. I also like to see the Man of Steel, Terrence Steele, just blast your boy Hutchinson. And because the Detroit D-line was in Dallas's mix, but it was really cool, man, to see Steele when he popped Hutchinson, knocked him on his ass, jump on top of him head first in order to inflict more emphaticism. So Spawn Ford gets my Lucky Whitehead Award, man. I love the mush to the back of the head. Take that with you, and I'm out. I love that, man. Good intensity, man. Show these boys we came to fight. And he didn't get penalized either. Awesome.
No, he didn't.
Hey, I love it. Shout out to JC with the Macho Man-esque oomph that he put on there.
Yeah, he did. Good call.
Look inside the rotoscope. Yeah.
Cream of the crop. Boy, hey, if y'all ever want a good time, go look at some of Macho Man's old promo cuts.
Classic footage.
Boy, that boy was high and giraffe, you know what? Coked out. Gold, straight gold. D Brown, what you got for us?
Man, I'll probably keep it a little simpler, man. I thought even though he's one of their normal studs, but for the context of that game, he kind of kept him in it and gave him a shot until Dallas's offense could finally get in the end zone, was Brandon Aubrey. Yeah, I mean he was able to, keep that effort afloat until Dallas could get into the end zone, and give them somewhat of a fighting chance at the end to steal it, man. He's just like I said, he's usually one of the the main characters we talk about, man, but in the context of that game, yeah, I mean, he was there, and just when they need it, man. And even kicking on the road, as good as he is, kicking in a hostile environment, because you can see from the jump, Detroit and everything in that atmosphere, they were up for that game because they
Oh, for
needed
sure.
it too,
Absolutely.
and kicking in that level of hostility, when you got to have it, there's something to be said for that. So I'm gonna shout out my man Brandon Aubrey for like just being an absolute rock when a lot of things weren't going well for Dallas. He was the one steadying for us and at least gave them a fighting chance to get to steal it at the end.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. It's funny.
So let me
My
interrupt
old
real quick.
coach just
Hey, fellas,
texted
let me
me.
interrupt real quick. We got a comment. I want to see y'all in the Super Bowl. Y'all can get whooped by my Patriots. This is a comment coming from Boston.
I love it. And you know what?
You've been waiting about a solid 6 years to type that shit on.
Right. I shout out to a guy in Boston. Hey, I'm here for it. If we end up in San Francisco and in the Super Bowl, first of all, now I sure as hell don't want to see them get whipped by the Patriots. But let's start the first part of that sentence. I want to see you in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
just gonna just let that marinate for a second, man. That's been since 1996. Do you know what kind of party there would be? The fact that we would be in that game. So I'm here for it. Now the ass whooping part, well, we'll talk about that later. But I'm damn sure here for it. So bless you for that sentiment.
Well, I'll tell you what, they'd be getting tuned up in Worcester, Fall River, Charleston, Southie. Man, do you know how much meth would be snorted and smoked? Okay. Right?
Wow.
Spilling into the streets and burning couches and whatnot in
Oh, yeah.
Charleston. Right? Right, man. That'd be a hell of a party. A hell of a party.
The party. Now, hey man, shout out to Patriot fans coming back out of hiatus, man.
Yeah,
It's been
right
a
on.
long 6 years for y'all, man. I appreciate
It
y'all
really
coming.
has.
The
Yes.
so-called
Oh,
American
God,
team
yes.
that nobody been talking about the
Yes.
last 6 years. Hey, what the hell do I know? Goddamn it! What the hell do I know?
That shit should have happened in 2016, man. They should have beat Green Bay's sorry ass and then beat Atlanta's whole ass and played the Patriots then.
Yeah,
That's when that shit should have went down.
yeah. A lot of things should happen with our team, but we are the masters of disappointment, man. So, but hopefully in the near future we can rectify that. And to round the segment out, I'm gonna go with my boy James Houston, man. Another sack. Lead the team in sacks against his old mates. So I know that meant a lot to him. So proven to be a great free agent signing. Again leading in 5.5 sacks. I believe Jadeveon Clowney behind him at 4. So again, not a lot of edge rush talent. However, for a young guy out there giving us that, that burst from the outside. So I'm just gonna give him his lucky on that one. I know it felt good to get one against your old team that pretty much threw you a piece of garbage. So I'm gonna get that to that's James Houston. That's how they regard him over there in Frisco.
I love it.
All right, that concludes our lucky whitehead for the week. Will says, I never went to hiatus. I'm talking about the Patriots fans in general. Y'all used to be like, we're the America's team. And then ESPN talked about y'all as such, but no, it was Tom Brady the whole time. It was Tom Brady. All right, moving forward. Are the playoffs possible? So, and I think y'all led in just right. We had a lot of stumbles going. And then our boys, out east just can't get it right. So like Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's a chance. So I think conventional wisdom says that we have to pretty much win the East to do so. And I believe we're a game and a half back. Somebody correct me in the chat.
That's correct.
Game and a half back. So it's still doable now. Our Philly counterparts do play the Raiders today. So, that's, a glorified bye week. However, stranger things have happened. What's having 4 games to go?
That's correct.
Yeah. So hopefully, we can keep the course, i.e. saying that there's no room for error. So, gentlemen, given the plane that we kind of laid down and kind of get a little more intricate, is there a chance? Oh, I'm so sorry. I skipped the whole goddamn. Well, no, we'll do this one. Then we'll go back to the other one. Are the playoffs possible with the current landscape we have in the NFC?
It's
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's so to answer the question, is there a possibility? Yes, because the percentage chance does not say zero. So there's your possible point, right? Now, is it likely? No, it's not. And I've been on that refrain for some time, even before the win streak that they had after with the Raiders, Eagles, and Chiefs. Because even after that Chiefs win, the percentage point has never gotten to 20%, even with that win, right? So I'm gonna stay consistent here in that Dallas left far too much money on the table in the earlier part of the season, and I think I referenced it last week. I'm gonna reference it again. You look at you can always go back over seasons like this, and we've seen several of them like this in Dallas over the last 10 years for sure, where you point to a loss or two that really came back to bite you in the ass in the loss column when you are like they are now vying for that minuscule chance, right? And you go back to that Cardinals loss and you go back to that Panthers loss and even in a couple of games against better teams, you look back now, and I'll even go back to Joey's day. Joey was pissed, that they gave away the Philly game in game one. I mean, you look at those opportunities, right? And even the Green Bay game, the tie. All of a sudden, that's a big deal. That was a winnable game, right? So there's just too much money, left on the table against some of the better teams that are your NFC, bunkmates, as well as some of the lower tier teams. Again, like I referenced, the Cardinals have played, I think, 8 games without Kyler Murray. They've gone 1-7. The one they beat was the Dallas Cowboys. Can't let that happen. So now you find yourself not controlling your destiny, which is a position you never want to be in when you're talking about a very minuscule chance in the first place. Like, you got a small chance and you don't even have the capacity to control your destiny. You have to have other things happen for you, i.e. Philly continuing to melt down. But I'll land it here. When you look at the schedule for both teams in terms of, Dallas is going to have to win the East. They're not going to do anything as far as the wild card is concerned. They're going to have to win the division, which means they're going to have Philly's help. You look at Philly's schedule starting today with the visiting Raiders in Philly, and you look at Dallas's schedule. Dallas is going to have, I think they finished the season with NFC East games with the Giants and the Commanders. So the next 2 weeks, they play Minnesota tonight, a Minnesota team that got blanked last week. They're going to come in with a little venom to them, and then they got the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of those games are going to be duck walks, right? And I don't think the East games will be either, because those guys aren't going to lay down just because of Dallas, and they have a slight chance to get in the playoffs. They're not going to try to help them. So I just don't think the time and the remainder of the schedule favors Dallas in terms of the small chance they do have. But if Philly wants to be benevolent and continue to shit the bed, then by all means. But in the grand scheme, I just think Dallas left too much out there, and the fact that they no longer control their destiny, just don't think it's happened. I think you got to realistically start looking at what Dallas needs to do to fortify what they do have that's positive going into next year and make it a real run at it.
Yeah, I like it. JC, what you got?
If you don't, in my opinion, if you don't win these 4 games, then you don't deserve to be in the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned.
That's
all right.
fair.
And of course, I saw a comment in the chat about the AFC North. Look, if Philly goes 1-3 and you lose a game, and 9-7-1 wins the division, that's very AFC North-esque. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there's still a lot that can happen. It's very doubtful that it goes down like that. I seriously doubt that Philly would go 9-8. I mean, they could. You know what I'm saying? But in my estimation, if you don't win these 4 games, okay, then you're not playoff worthy. And if Philly goes 9-8 and you don't win these last 4 games and you get in, yeah, you're technically in the playoffs, but you ain't gonna do nothing. You ain't gonna do nothing. Like the cat at the game that popped off at my man's Cliff, right? Hey, look, man, you ain't gonna do nothing. You ain't gonna do nothing. Running your mouth, right? You ain't gonna do nothing. If they win these last 4, okay, then you've got a tangible, what they call a winning streak going. And at that point, then you could kind of say, okay, the stench of the Detroit loss will kind of be washed away, all right, with 4 straight dubs, right? And then you're like, okay, well, there's something to this. And if they win 4 straight, I mean, you already know what it's going to be. Solid defense, Pickens and Sedarian hogging out, and Javonte running for about 85 a game, right? You know that's what it's going to take, and we've seen evidence of that when they got on their little streak, okay, and a little bit prior to that, But to go, from 3, 5-1 to 10, 6-1, okay, now you got this kind of body of work there where you're legit. Trust me, you're legit. In 2007, the Dallas Mavericks had lost to the Heat in the finals before. They proceeded to go 67-15. Well, their first round opponent was Golden State, who had muddled along, but right at the end of the year, Golden State went about 16-5 and was playing really, really good basketball. And only one guy caught it, and that was the old Mavericks color man, Jim Haller, on TV. He was the only one that caught it. And he said, oh, boy, this was going to be tough. And what happened?
Beat that ass.
They got home slapped.
First round.
And didn't go 7. Just a downward slap in the mouth. So you want to be rolling, man. You want to be rolling in whatever. Like again with Golden State, they were kind of rolling in their own little way. They were fucking 8 seed, right? That 16-5 shit. The Mavericks, started 0-4 and went 67-11. So Golden State kind of got rolling in their own little way. 16-5 was a hell of a stretch for them, right? Cowboys 7-1. Okay, 7-1, man. That's almost half a season. You do that. And to me, I'll give a shit what the scores in the games are. You get to 7-1 going into the playoffs. Yeah, man. You are legit. Does it mean that you are a favorite or contender? No. But nobody would be shocked if after going 7-1 in your final 8, if you did a little damage in the playoffs. So, yeah, man, they need to win these last 4. Not just, go 9-7-1 and Philly collapse, go 9-8. It's about them. Yeah, they need help, but really for their own psyche going into the playoffs, man, they need to win these last 4. And that starts tonight at AT&T.
Absolutely. Love it, JC. And shout out to that reference. This is actually one of my favorite Warriors team. Not the most talented by far, but that team
Baron
was Steven
Davis,
Jackson,
Baron Davis, sir.
Baron Davis, man, that they just was like the whole lineup was like 6'8" and under, and they just would go after you. And I remember Dirk got holed out that series.
May I add something to that?
Dunk on motherfuckers.
I love the point about the 16-5 run. That's a great point. But there's all and you mentioned the one guy, Haller, that caught their hot streak. But what was more where I was worried about that series, and your point about the win streak and going in with momentum is well taken. Love that point. But the only team that Dallas did not beat in the regular season that year, even having started 0-4 and ended up 6-7-15, they went 0-4 in the regular season against Golden State. Game.
Ain't that something?
So that's like 67-7 or some shit against
They didn't even
else
split the regular season
series.
series. They went 0-4 against Golden State that year. Very, very few people remember that. So I knew that was a bad matchup going in. That was a nice.
Yeah, it was a bad. Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm about to say. And shout out to the International Quiet Storm dropping a $5 cash app on it, man, saying just showing support. Also, channel member International Quiet Storm. Thank you, brother, for putting a little something on it. Yeah, man. So I thought those were great points, man. Like when you playing streak at the right time, who knows, man? And Lord forbid, an injury happens over in Philly, or some other team that just nosedive. You don't know.
Right.
That's why you play out like my coaches always told me, run all the way through the line, man. Don't pull up because you think you're not going to win. I remember this when I was, about 10 years old, maybe 11. I ran in the Houston Street Olympics out in where the Astrodome is, the Astro Hall.
Mhm.
So basically, the best athletes, of certain age groups were out there. My dad worked for the city of Houston, so he used to do this thing where he would, I was extremely introverted, so he would take me to these events that were, produced by the city of Houston. He just dropped me there, and I got to figure out how to make friends and all this shit. So I'm just super nervous, but I'm super athletic. But long story short, I remember running the 100. I was like 11, 12 years old. And I remember the coach, the track coach, like, just run all the way through the line. Don't worry about who's in front of you on side of you. Only thing that matters is the time. Run through the line. I was like, all right, my little goofy 12-year-old self. And I remember in the heat I ran, the dude looked like he beat me, but the timing was I was faster than him. And I remember getting the gold medal, and everybody was hating on me because they didn't know who I was. But I remember what that coach said, like, run through the line, man, because don't worry about that. Only thing you're racing against is the time. So I say that to say, we don't know what we're going against right now, but run through the line.
Indeed.
You go run your race, and then we'll figure out all the semantics after, but you do what you're supposed to do, and then good things happen.
I love it.
I didn't know how I was going to tie that in, but I tied it in.
Yeah, you did, bro. You did that one.
I knew there was something to it.
Hey, man, you ran through the line, bro. You ran through the line. Shout out to Quiet Storm says you welcome. Minnesota is very beatable. JJ McCarthy's trash. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that with the preview. I don't want to spoil that, but I'm gonna just say this is a very winnable game. Let me say that. All right, so as we move forward, let's talk about the defense, man. And we kind of led in with that, giving up just slightly over 100 yards, which is not horrible, but I believe 4 touchdowns on the ground. That's not great. We let Autumn-Rod St. Brown have his way with big play catches. And we hear that Trevon Diggs should be back today. Is that correct?
No,
sir.
He's not playing.
Not playing. And there is a very ill wind blowing there. Look for that short.
Yes.
Really?
Maybe later today.
And that's Baby who down?
No, I said Trevon Diggs is out. And there's a very ill wind blowing in that conversation. I said the team is
okay. You kind of borging out a little bit. Okay. All right. Yep. I mean, fair enough. Okay. Trade rumors. Yeah. I mean, listen, I love Trevon, what he did for us, but I will shed not a tear if we let that boy sit him on to the upper room to another organization. Just saying. Okay. So with that being said, with us kind of giving up way too many, opportunistic situations against the Lions and way too many points, can we recover from this defensively and right the ship with our new look offense with Overshown, with Quentin Williams and what have you? Gentlemen, your take on, can our defense recover?
Yes, I believe they can. Based on the fact that we saw the turnovers led to 14 of the points. Okay. Detroit was consistently starting at their own 43 midfield. They had a 21-yard punt return. And so, bare minimum, that led to another 7. So that's 21 points that, the defense was put in a terrible spot on. Okay. But yet still they allowed 23 points free and clear. And hey, you can go back and forth again, in terms of numbers. The defensive performance wasn't as bad, okay, as I think it looked outwardly with anytime, 44, as Cliff says, 40 burger. Anytime it goes down like that, that's a bad deal. But they only surrendered 20 first downs. Okay. The Lions ran for $109. It was a good ass 109 though. Right? Like they made it count. Like there's 109s where nothing happens, then there's 109s where you get 4 fucking touchdowns. That's with 4 touchdowns, that's a good ass 109, homie. That worked out really well for. And again, man, just echo Cliff and Darren's point, man. Whenever they needed something clutch, the Sun God came through. Amon Ra. Man, he came through, man. Like,
Sun God, I love
like
it.
every single time that it was third down. Boom. Oh, this is fucking Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know what I'm saying? Gain of 13. And they gave us on that damn injury report, man. Oh, it's we're not sure how long it'll be, 3-4 weeks. Man, this motherfucker out there sprinting and running hurdles and shit in the warm-ups. And kills them on third down. By some good ass players. They got beat. Okay, defensively. It wasn't as horrible as it sounded or looked by the score. But they got Gibbs, Montgomery, Amon-Ra. They beat that ass.
Yep. And that's kind of like why I wanted to lament on this. Like, to your point, Jared Goff threw for 300, but it wasn't like a gaudy 300 per se. They ran for a $109, but it wasn't like a 200-yard, but it just felt like every time we needed something to happen, they had little to no resistance. And that's kind of what I want the segment to attack, because we know that that's playoff football.
Mm-hmm.
Can you make those stops? So if we're talking all this playoff shit, can we meet the goal? And can our defense get to that level? So I guess I probably should have rewarded that way. But it just felt like every time, with this new addition, he's trying to make a big stop. Boom, Amon-Ra. Move the chains. Closing down the distance. Boom, Gibbs. Boom, boom, boom. Touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we just can't give those things up, man. We just can't. D. Brown, what you got?
Man, so the defense was put in a lot of bad spots from the field position, especially in the coverage pieces. I mean, you can't give guys that are talented like that, what Detroit has with Gibbs and St. Brown, short fields. So there was that. They were putting a lot of, they being the defense, Dallas defense, in a lot of compromised positions. That said, we talked about it in our preview previous week, because we didn't know St. Brown obviously was going to be there until game time.
Right.
When I saw him in warm up and he was running out there, I'm like, this is going to be a problem, because the bottom line is he is one of the finest receivers in football, bar none. Let's be clear on that. But even in the preview, before we knew St. Brown was going to play, but they do still have Jahmyr Gibbs, and they utilized Jahmyr Gibbs. And what I wanted to point out as it relates to this part of the discussion was how well Big Dan utilized the mismatches to one of the weaknesses of Dallas's defensive effort, and that was getting Jahmyr Gibbs in space in the short passing game against Dallas's linebackers or lack thereof. And they absolutely destroyed them in that deal. And that's how I knew that Big Dan had scouted this thing. And I knew kind of going in and said, unless Detroit gives Dallas a gift in the way of that it was going to be problematic for them all night, because there was little Dallas could do to offset that matchup, right? Getting Gibbs out in space. And I know you remember, like, you guys, you like spot on with every time Dallas would need that play to get off the field, Detroit would seemingly always have the answer. And I remember one in particular where Jahmyr Gibbs got it out kind of in the left flat, and he's in space, and he's got about maybe 1.5 yards to the boundary, and he makes a move, and I think that dude's jock is still on that boundary. I can't remember who it was that was out there, but it's just like complete mismatch all game long with you putting Gibbs, not just turning around and handing it to him, because he can give you the business that way, but the game plan to have him in space in the short passing game, which basically extended handoffs, and then let him exploit the mismatch, because the guy in front of him, Jahmyr Gibbs, that is, doesn't count in space. Like, you can forget about that dude. You gotta worry about the dudes behind him. So I just thought it was a pretty very nicely planned offensive effort from Detroit, who has some guys that are among the best at the position in St. Brown and Jahmyr Gibbs, and Detroit utilized those two guys really well and exploited some weaknesses there in Dallas's front, and even in the secondary. And to land it here, you touched on something there with your take just a minute ago, Cliff. Even if Dallas, that is, gets to the playoffs somehow, what is it that they can sustain defensively I think we're pretty good and comfortable with what that can happen on the offensive side of the ball. But I think the Detroit game, because you're going to be playing these level of teams, right, kind of gave you a window or a picture of what you would probably expect to see should they find themselves in the playoffs. Because you're going to find teams that can run it. You're going to find teams that are going to have some talent on the outside. And Dallas still has very clear and evident exploitable matchups or matchup deficiencies. And I think that was kind of a microcosm in that Detroit game, which gives you pause, even if they do make the playoffs.
Hey, real quick, just to put a bow on it,
It's
what DB has been talking about for a couple of years, linebackers. How did Detroit's linebackers play in that game? They were damn good. Detroit's linebackers were damn
100%.
good.
Yeah.
Running around, making plays. My boy, out of the zone, Italian-American. Those guys make plays. Their linebackers are good, and you nailed it, DB. Big Dan said, man, these guys' linebackers are awful.
100%.
And they proceeded to go to work on them.
Yep.
And the flip side of that was Detroit's linebackers were very good to excellent.
Yep. Moral of this story, Dallas, go get some linebackers. Back to you.
There you go.
Yes. Yes.
It is. Go get some linebackers, man. And if you want to spring another edge rusher, I will not be upset either.
100%.
Just say
there's some stand-up guys in the draft, some traditional guys.
Yeah.
And there's some first round, the kid from Oklahoma and the kid from Ohio State. Once again, not the kid from Ohio State that's the pass rusher, but the one that's the stand-up, what they call a drop linebacker, which is kind of misleading because drop means defend, run, or pass. Okay, it's like a guy that could do a little bit of everything. It's an acronym. But anyway, and then there's a kid from Oklahoma, and like I said, kid from Ohio State. There's going to be some chances, where, as DB says, late in the draft, late in that first round, you get that value on a guy who's actually could be like a Warner, like an elite stand-up linebacker. I think there's some real possibilities there. So that's something to get excited about, boys and girls.
Well, and I'll say this too. We addressed our O-line last year, so we don't have to spend a lot of time on picks on that too, so we can focus deadline on getting a linebacker because we hit on BB and we definitely hit on Tyler. So
Big Booker, no doubt.
Yeah.
Booker has a French chance to make the Pro Bowl. Cliff, can I interject something real quick that you touched on? And this ties into the defensive piece. So you asked about Trayvon Diggs. Just real quick. So early in the week, there were reports that he had been practicing, although it limited participation, but practicing. And then when the reporters were asking Trayvon Diggs directly about how he felt about being able to play in tonight's game, the word from Trayvon Diggs was he felt great, felt that he was ready, all those things. And the fandom was like, all right, Trayvon Diggs, and it's been like this, unfortunately, for the young man, because, we know before the injuries happened the last couple of years, he's an absolute stud, right? He's a star in the making, why he got the big contract. Injuries have, set him back, and he really didn't look right because, one of Diggs' strengths and his ability to turn and run, especially when the ball's in the air and recover. He got elite skills before the injury happened there. Well, we saw on film before this year's, situationship, that he just still didn't look right from the pretty serious surgery he had in the offseason. That said. So later in the week, actually as recently as yesterday, or maybe even Friday, that he would not play, right? And that he would not come into this game. And then the reports came locally and nationally that there's that Trayvon Diggs may not play another down here with the star on his helmet. I think the residual, and we're on record with this on this show, I think the residual from the offseason with him having not rehabbed, because he did have a really significant surgical procedure on his knee, and he did not train here in rehab. And the point I wanted to make there is it kind of sucks because, Trayvon Diggs was certainly in line and becoming a huge star in this league and a huge star and big time talent for this team. And it just kind of sucks that you look at the second round history or history of second round picks for this Cowboys team for whatever reason, right? Off field, on field. If you go back and look at the history and the malaise of the second round pick of the Dallas Cowboys, it'll blow your mind. Like I could throw some names out there. They're just like, man, Sean Lee.
He's pretty good.
Shinobi, Awuzie, right? JC, who was the guy? Who was the Goodrich? Dwayne Goodrich went to prison. I mean, second round picks. You go through the deal, and then some they just flat out missed on, right? But for whatever reason, the history of the second round pick here has just been mind numbing, and it looks like Trayvon Diggs, unfortunately, is going to go that same route because he's a hell of a talent. And maybe we can pick it up next week in terms of what do you do with Trayvon Diggs, because there's some very interesting scenarios there, and I don't want to bog the show down. But you brought his name up because we were hoping that maybe he could play these last few games to help make this run that we've talked about. But it does, and that's why I wanted to, and I'll land it here. That's why I want to bring him up, because it doesn't look like we're going to get that help unless something really dramatically changes, maybe in a conversation. But from what I heard from Shotty, hadn't really heard from either of the Joneses, but what I heard from Shotty and some of the insiders here locally and even nationally, that it's highly likely that Trayvon Diggs will not play again this season, which would suck if that's going to be the end of his story here in Dallas, given the way it started.
And just to put a bow on that real quick, I don't know for certain. Some research is probably would be warranted on this. I don't know if there's some sort of issue as to whereas if he comes back from an injury and then gets hurt again after coming back from the injury, that there's some sort of not even cap implications, but monetary implications going forward as to, part of his contract down the line. So it's money and it's cap. And that, again, if you say you want to win at all costs, okay, the gambler, that's all the Netflix, the gambler, why don't you fucking gamble that a dude who picked off 11 passes for you one year might still have something fucking left, okay? Because it was all of that whole thing changed when him and Micah got here. That's when this shit got real. That's when this new incarnation got real. All right, and you don't even want to see? Man, I'm talking about going sorcerer. You ain't got no love for Diggs. You ain't got no love for 11 picks. You don't even want to try. Get the motherfucker out of here. Just fucking try it. If he sucks, bench him. Like he's going to get hurt walking on the goddamn field. Try it. You're trying to make a run. Anyway, my bad. Back to the distinguished members of the panel.
That was the crash out portion of the show, ladies and gentlemen. JC with the heat.
We should start doing a standing bet when JC gonna crash out during the show. The winner get a $5 cash.
Only on this show do you get gold like that.
I like it. Well, no, man. So listen, man. I love JC's passion on that, and I do want to see him play this year.
I do too.
Where my boat,
I think all three of us do.
Yeah, where my boat leaves the ship is next year. I'm like, hey man, if we got to cut bait, because we are notorious for keeping talent too long. And if it's time to get rid of his ass on the top end, where we can get some value back for him, then that's just what it is. Because
let's dig into that next week, man. I'll have some heat for you on that as it relates to possibly trading him and or the different scenarios, financial scenarios with the cuts. Let's tease that for next week. We'll dig into that Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah, for sure. Because at the end of the day, what's proven is that we, even by like committee, we still can be a respectable football team without him out there. I think that this year has proven that. So thus going forward with more of a game plan without him and shoring up the talent without him, I think it's kind of showing we don't necessarily need him unless, like JC said, we roll him out this year, he prove he's still who he is, then that's a different thing. But if we must go forward, I'm not as sad as I would have been like 5-6 weeks ago.
Correct.
Let me put it that way.
Correct.
Yeah, that's just what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and drop that trivia question. Those who've been hanging around, you got a chance to get $5 in your pocket. Shout out to Third World Colombian for winning the last trivia question. He $5 richer. So you got a chance to do the same thing. Zen, go ahead and drop that Cowboys trivia question before we do our recap. Well, our predictions, brother.
I'm on it. Just need a second here.
Take your time. Take your time.
All right. Here we go. What team dashed the Cowboys' hopes for a third straight NFL championship game appearance by defeating them in the 1979 playoffs? That's a tough one.
Oh, I love this.
That's before I was born.
We got 30 seconds beginning now.
Google's your friend.
Just know your OG was sick.
I was tearing up. I had my little Cowboys.
I didn't go to
jacket
school
on.
the next day.
I was tearing up. Just
I was
trying
not
to
born.
fight back the tears, man.
It was 3 years before I was to see.
10 seconds,
How many-
chat.
4 years.
To win
before I was to
20.
see.
And they did the same shit that they had been doing, man. They got on a run at the end of the year. Okay, here we go. And up out of there.
Time. That's time. Let's check the chat. We do not
Chad,
have
anybody? Any guesses?
any responses, but the correct answer is the Los Angeles Rams.
Rams.
Out there in that
Won
Los
it
Angeles.
Dallas 21-19. This was the last game of Cowboy quarterback Roger Staubach.
Staubach. Yep. That was the end of his
Billy
career.
Waddy, 50-yard touchdown that was almost tipped by Dallas linebacker. I want to say Guy Brown, maybe, or
Was
Anthony
Guy Brown,
Dickerson.
number 59.
Yeah, and he catch at 50, and that was the ball game.
Real quick, Joey, for the
Billy
this right
effing
here,
Waddy.
this right here is the AARP segment of the show.
Absolutely.
Yep, for sure.
As Cliff blinks into the light, Joe, you remember who the quarterback was for the Rams?
Vince Ferragamo,
Vince
sir.
Ferragamo. Yes, sir. Vince Ferragamo. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's beyond my
Yep.
expertise. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, mind you, this is, so you're talking 77, 78. So if there's the third straight. So that's, they beat Denver, lost to the Steelers, right? Those are two, now it's the NFC Championship game, 2 successive Super Bowl appearances. And then they lose to them. Bro, I did not go to school that Monday. I was sick. Went in my room, shut the door, did not come out till Tuesday afternoon. That's a true story.
Hey, fellas.
That was the year that Ed Jones left football at the age of 28 to pursue a heavyweight boxing career. So, probably the best strong side defensive end in the NFL. You didn't have him in 79. He was pursuing a boxing career. He came back in 80, but that's, hey man, that was a big loss, dude. Not having Ed Jones for that, but yeah.
Hey, fellas.
AARP segment, yes sir.
Bonus trivia question for the chat. Which Cowboys quarterbacks shared the same number? I will kick up $10 to anyone who answers that chat in 30 seconds beginning now.
Man, you get a bonus, y'all.
I love
This
it.
Cowboy quarterback.
This is
number.
awesome. Look at my man Zen producing on the fly.
You know it.
I love it.
20 seconds. Let's get the music.
I'm gonna guess.
Shout out to 20 Game Sports. He said he coaches school of Starbucks granddaughters in AAU. His family. No.
And time. Once again, we have no winners. The answer,
Man.
Quincy Carter.
Was it Quincy Carter and Don Meredith? Yep. 17.
Both
Yep.
were both
There you go.
17.
I love it, man. That's good stuff, Zen. I can dig it.
That's
Like
a good
it.
one. That was a damn good one.
Back to you, gang.
Ugly ass number 17. That's an ugly ass number, man.
Kind of an awkward number for a quarterback, right?
Yeah, that's ugly ass
It's like you
numbers.
almost can't take him seriously. Man, they rolling 17 out there under center.
Boy, it's like you on B team, boy. Shit.
Oh man,
Yes,
the
I don't want
ill-fated B
17.
team. Yes, sir.
Y'all ain't got no number ones, no tens. All right, Danny White and Troy Aikman, number 10, Meredith and Roger Staubach, Craig Morton and Clint Hill.
Now,
do those count? Oh, old ninjas of the council.
Well, no. Danny White was 11. Aikman was 8. Don Meredith was 17. Roger Staubach was 12.
Right.
Craig Morton was 7.
Yeah.
Did they change numbers by chance?
No.
Okay, all right.
Was Craig Morton? No, he was 7. Yeah, I was going to say, was he 14? He was 7, right? Yeah. Underrated quarterback, by the way. First round draft pick, took team to the Super Bowl. Underrated. Craig Morton.
Well, there it is.
They got a 1 for him from the Giants, which turned into Randy White. Yeah, you guys got Craig Morton, we got Roger, and we're gonna get Randy White out the deal.
Hey, I didn't see if Third Ward got it in time, but I want to give Third Ward the prize anyway. So I'll make sure we get that to Third Ward.
Okay.
Shout out to third is on the first question. Right on.
Hey, that's okay. So you gonna give it to him for the first question? You said
for both.
Oh, for both.
Both. Okay. So how much money is that for him?
$10.
All right. So third one last week. So that's $15 in 2 weeks. Hey man, we over here blessing up. So then I'll send you Third's information. He did IG me his Cash App, so I'll send it to you. So congrats to Third Ward with $15 in 2 weeks off the Straight No Chaser Cowboys podcast. Well, we put money in your pocket for the holidays. So hey, we at least deserve a life back. Just saying. So go on back at least. That's the least you can do.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? All right. So as we land the plane for the show, the reason why we are all here is the predictions against the Minnesota Skull Vikings. So as we see right now, guys, again, no room for error as the show depicts. We go face the Vikings at home, 5-8, who is dead last in the NFC North. A very beatable team, but to be noted, they did beat the Lions a few weeks ago, or about a month and a half ago, 27-24. So, I mean, they have some fight in them. They did beat the Bears, but that was week 1. You know, do what you will with that information. So, at the end of the day, they're still a football team. I know that was under Carson Wentz. Now that their draft pick from a year ago, J.J. McCarthy, is at the helm. They have not been looking great, even though they did beat the Commodores, the Commodes, whatever you call them, 31-0 last week. That's against Marcus Mariota. I don't know how much stock you can put into that, but they got us today. That's what we do know. Gentlemen, some of your insights about today, and then we'll get into the predictions.
Dallas ain't Washington. And this is a game that if you were to be taken seriously, to roll back to Joey's earlier point, if you're going to have any serious discussion left about this these playoff chances, if you drop this one, then shut up. Right? I mean, they need, and I'm gonna borrow something from you, Cliff. They need to beat their ass. It's just what it is. It's a home game. Everything is clearly drawn in the sand. In the theme of the show, there's no room for error. You got to beat Minnesota. You got to beat their ass to go into the game next week, which in my mind would be the toughest of the 4-game climb if you're going to make this run. So you'd like to go into that with some momentum. Get on them early, stomp them out. I think there's some matchups here that favor Dallas, particularly in the as it relates to Dallas's receiving core. And I'm talking about the trio, Lamb, Pickens, and Big Jake. I think Dallas should eat. And if we can get the requisite 85-90, as Joey always references from our man Javonte Williams, Dallas should have their way. Defensively, you want to see them get back after it on some, as far as the pass rush is concerned. Particularly on that interior, I think Dallas can make some hay there with their interior guys. If you get the contribution, whatever, be it from my guy James Houston, Young Ezeraku, what have you, from that edge, so be it. but they need to solidify some things on their defensive front, and I think they can do that. And I'll land it here is that Dallas's big focus in terms of controlling and ultimately winning this game, which is what they didn't do in the Detroit game, is they've got to win the line of scrimmage. You know, the battles have to be won on the offensive and defensive lines of scrimmage. They do that, and I think they have an excellent chance of doing that. Then they should control and win this game.
All right, JC, your input on this one. Maybe on mute if you're trying to talk.
He looks frozen. I think he's frozen up, Cliff.
Okay, and let me retract that. Actually, they won last week with Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota playing. So they did. I mean, I know Jaden Daniels is not himself right now
because he went back out in that game too.
Huh?
He left the game again into that same elbow.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We split time. Yeah, so you, again, glean what you will from that. You know, you definitely probably didn't see the best of what they have to offer. But JJ did throw for 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, for 163 yards. Is crazy.
Wow,
that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, man. By the numbers, they still got Aaron Jones. I know he's past his prime, but you know he's still an NFL football player. JJ still learned the ropes, learn how to be a real NFL quarterback. Now I will say 16 and 23. That's pretty efficient. So they're keeping everything in front of them. They're not challenging a lot upfield. To be expected from a young quarterback, not necessarily known to be a gunner per se, a little more on the athletic side. So I mean, listen, man, the Commanders are a floundering team. So I don't think we'll produce anything close to them. If you go back a week, they played against Seattle and got the brakes blown off of them. They didn't score a single point. Then the week before that, they played the Packers, got the brakes blown off of them. Played the Bears down to 19-17. So, you know, that's more of a division rival. So you know how that goes. Things change with that. But ultimately speaking, this should not be a game that we have to really worry anything about. Get pressure on that young quarterback, which I think we will, kind of lamenting what you were just saying. I expect to be in his face early and often. This team does not make big plays. So that's kind of the thing that's been kind of killing us. I don't think they can dink and dunk their way to beating us. I think we're way more solid than that. I don't think they have a run game that's going to just basically just blow us out of the water. And I mean, listen, from wide out talent standpoint, there's nobody who's just going to really gash us like that. Even if they can gash us, I just doubt that we are the iteration that we were in week 1, 2, and 3, where everybody was getting their rocks off, getting their proverbial career days against us. I think those days are long gone. So yeah, I think it's going to be a long day for Minnesota because we talk about matchups a lot. And then Sans, Amon-Ra, we had a good lineup, you know, to kind of backtrack for a second. We were saying we matched up well against them, and we did. But we were thinking Amon-Ra was probably going to be a scratch. The fact he wasn't, and Gibbs came to play, things didn't quite go that way. I doubt that we befall that same circumstance this week. I'm just saying.
Right.
They don't have anybody on their sideline of that type of ilk from a quarterback standpoint. Because, listen, Jared Goff at the end of the day is still a solid Super Bowl level quarterback.
Yeah, he can spin it, man.
Yeah.
He can spin it. He's terrific off play action.
Correct.
Zen, did you have something there?
No. Just,
I thought I had you drop it back. Cliff,
I
I
was
wanted
just
to
doing the
say.
injury report.
Okay, yeah, Cliff, I wanted to back in on what you were saying in terms of like the matchups. I think you went back to McCarthy's stat line. That was very 2016 Dak like. Right?
Absolutely.
16 23, not a lot of yards, not a lot of chances taken down the field as we get Joey back. And before I throw it to him real quick, what I would say is to bookend my point about them controlling the line of scrimmage. If you do that and get these guys in, second and third and long, put the game, if you're Dallas defense, put the game in McCarthy's hands to have to make plays down the field. And I think that plays to Dallas's advantage. Go ahead, Joey.
Have you got me? Am I back?
You good?
Indeed.
I was not the victim of a batter ram. I'm not being incarcerated, just so everybody knows. No technical difficulty. I think, some of the things that we saw, we talk about Minnesota. I kind of have been a J.J. McCarthy backer. I'm kind of, I liked him at Michigan. I think there's something there. But again, he has had some struggles. No question about it. And you really want to be able to take advantage of that. And I believe that you take advantage of that by taking away his run game. Don't give him his best friend. Take away that run game. And obviously you want to get some heat on him. Again, we've talked about the wizardry of Brian Flores in terms of, the changing looks that he gives and coverage and blitz and so forth. Loves to blitz early, in series, i.e. first and second down. I think that the thing with them is, their defense has been pretty solid in terms of numbers, but that's very misleading. Okay. When a team has a defense that is highly rated and it is because they don't give up a lot of passing yards, a lot of times it's because teams don't have to throw on them because they're beating their ass. They don't need to throw on them. Minnesota's 5-8, man. All right. Teams don't have to throw on them. That's why they're ranked so high defensively. They still give up $1.25 on the ground. But again, it's all about timing, man. And with rookie quarterbacks or not rookie quarterbacks, because he got hurt last year. This is his second year, first full year starting. They just have those ups and downs. He did have a great game against DC, but you want to flip the script back on him, okay, and make him have an awful game, so that all these people that, say that he's trash can feel vindicated. But the fact of the matter is he's a very, very young quarterback, and ups and downs happen with young quarterbacks until they figure it out. A lot of times now we've seen young quarterbacks come out and have really good first seasons and not so good second seasons. CJ Stroud, for example, Dak Prescott, for example, great first season, not as good in the second season. Okay. McCarthy's at that point in time, man, where he's having his ups and downs because this is essentially his rookie year. The idea, man, is to just put the ball in his hands, make him beat you. That, I think, is what the strategy should be for the Cowboys.
Right up. Rookie's gonna make mistakes, the glorified rookie for that matter, to your point. Again, with a guy like that, you're gonna have to rely a lot on your legs. You're gonna rely a lot on your run game. You're gonna obviously rely a lot on your tight ends again, hence the dinking and dunking that he's doing. And I just think, again, nobody's really beat us with that strategy. Guys that beat us going vertical, guys beat us with their run game being established, and then they softens us up in the middle. I just don't see a way that they can really establish themselves if we're going to be serious about being a playoff team. So BTA is in full activation mode. This is a team we should beat the snot out of. I'm just being frank, so it's a little teaser alert for my prediction. Because again, it's a 5-8 team, last of their division. This shouldn't be nothing to talk about if we're talking about being a serious football team.
Agreed.
So with that being said, as we round and land the plane on the show, thank y'all for tuning in. Let me say that the chat has been super active, so appreciate y'all for that.
Absolutely, man.
Shout out for Third for taking on $10. Hey, listen, man, the Cowboys trivia every week we give away money. You may want to stay to the end of the show every week. Just saying, share it, send it to a friend. And also, subscribe if you're new. Hit the notification bell on Pass the Joint podcast and over here on Hoop Jar. You get both, so you get every bit of content as it's presented. And so let's get to the predictions. All right, so I'm gonna go back to you, JC. What do you see as the final score against the Vikings today, my friend?
Well, I'll tell you what, man, I get as nervous making these predictions, as I do watching the damn game. All right, because I'm always fearful of, like, if you look up, man, and I've seen this happen a bunch of times, the entire national media will choose the Cowboys to win a game. Uh-oh. You know what that means? They're going to lose. I do believe that McCarthy is not quite there yet. Seen some flashes. I'm going to go with Dallas. Again, I love weird scores. I'm going to go with Dallas 26, Minnesota 15.
Okay.
Weird score.
Yeah.
Get 6 and 5 on your squares in your little thing in the office and try to get money off that.
Love it.
I like it. D Brown, what you got?
Man, I see a better effort on both sides of the ball, particularly in the line of scrimmage, given the urgency of the situation, being a home game, everything that goes with that. I do think Dallas will be able to. I'd be a little bit more nervous about this game pre-Quentin Williams trade and the return of Overshown and Wilson, who, by the way, Logan Wilson, I'm talking about. They talked about that in the local media this week. He's now the Cowboys view him as having had that acclimation period since the trade, and he came over from Cincinnati. So there was mention that he's going to get well, the reference is that he's going to get more snaps than Murray. That's got to be nothing but good news for Dallas. So with that said, I think I like Dallas to handle things better on both sides of the line of scrimmage, put the ball in the hands of the rookie, and Dallas be able to take advantage, stall drives, maybe a turnover or two, and Dallas gets out of this one 31-14, Dallas.
31-14, okay. I'm going to go ahead and shout out to rest in peace to Richard Walker, going to my bag, putting that 40 on. 44, tipping on 4-4s. Shout out to Acres Home. We putting up 44 on these boys. 44-17, Dallas football Cowboys. We better beat their ass. I ain't trying to hear none of that. This team sucks. Beat their ass. Last week, they just lost before they lost 26-0 to the freaking Seahawks. They beat the Commanders. That ain't saying much. Beat they ass. The Lions gave us 44. We want to return the favor. 44-17. Dallas football Cowboys.
I'm here for it.
Belt to ass, beat their ass, whatever you want to say the acronym is. That's what we do. That's how I'm feeling.
I love it. I love
Walk up
beat
on
their
the
ass.
spur.
Yeah. I've always loved the emphatic we should beat their ass prediction from Cliff.
Yeah.
We see it 2 or 3 times a year. I love it.
Yeah.
It's a staple on the show.
I mean, because again, if we'd be taken serious as a team, we supposed to be peaking at the right time. We talked about all this build up to this moment here. This is not a good football team. This should be a team that we should beat their ass. And it may not come that way, but we are playing at home. Listen, Dak shines bright at home. We know that. And we know why. If you've been to a Cowboys game, you know why. It's an advantage playing in AT&T Stadium. So with all those things considering, third got 33-23.
33-23.
Oh, score.
Okay.
Listen, man, if we win like that, I'm gonna be concerned because we got the Chargers next week. So I'm gonna just
No
say
doubt.
that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a little concerned.
Yeah.
All right, good show.
Love it. Appreciate everybody.
You got D Brown for the audience.
One more time.
Any parting words you got for the audience?
Hey man, it's Dallas, so it's gonna be entertaining. It's probably gonna be dramatic. It wouldn't be the Cowboys any other way. So, come along for the ride and enjoy what these, dramatic, entertaining Dallas Cowboys will do or may not do. But all in all, would love to see them do that thing, make this thing interesting all the way to the end. But it starts with today, tonight. Go Cowboys.
There it is, man. Go Cowboys, man. This is, again, name of the show today is No Room for Error, and we really mean that. Today is the game. Listen, we talk about banking wins. We didn't do that on some of these early opportunities against the Cardinals, against the, I would say, first-time Eagles, against the – what's another game we dropped there?
Panthers, Cardinals.
Panthers, the Bears. I don't care. I know the Bears is a hot team, but still, that was a winnable game. So we didn't bank those games. So now it's winning time for real. So I'm just saying. So go Cowboys. Straight no chaser. It's been a great addition as usual. And we catch y'all on the next one. Peace.